Hey, Adam.
Yes.
Who are some of your favorite navigators?
Well, there's good old Chris Columbus.
Oh, yeah. He's
Yeah.
kind of controversial, though.
Very much so.
What about Magellan?
Magellan was good.
Are you gelling?
Buddy, I'm always gelling. Like a felon. I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily jazz advice coming at you, and I got to tell you, Adam has a very smart and smug look on his face.
Witty banter, my friend.
He wittied the banter. He came back at me. I tried to throw him a curveball, and he hit that sucker.
You know, we get about 75-25 witty, cringy banter comments.
Right.
Yeah,
but that adds up to 100%. So,
As I said before, man, it's part of our sound.
That's right. Today's episode is sponsored by the Oxford American. The Oxford American is a magazine dedicated to documenting the complexity, vitality, and warmth of the American South. Its award-winning annual music issue comes with a CD sampler and a digital download. It's a must-have for any serious music fans. Recent issues have featured Nina Simone, Thelonious Monk, John Cage, and John Coltrane. How's that for a nice little eclectic mix of master musicians?
I like it.
Yeah. Visit oxfordamerican.org/YHI today. That's oxfordamerican.org/YHI.
Yeah, Oxford American. Check
That's
it
right.
out.
Day 2 of our wonderful sponsorship and association with this great organization out of Little Rock, Arkansas, just down the road, quite a bit down the road from us, but
but
due south of here. Wonderful people.
Legit. So today we're talking about 7 crucial details for navigating chord changes. You know, these are things that keep coming up in emails and questions to us, and these are also some things I see a little bit of confusion on. And before we get deep into this, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, this isn't the only way to do everything, but I just wanted to kind of clarify some of these things for people who might not know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we say there's more than one, that's always been an interesting little turn of phrase.
Yeah,
like, is there really?
You can start at the tail.
There might be more than one way, but why would we have to even think about that? Why bring that into the vernacular?
When was the last time someone's... never mind. So let's deal with number 1, the Phrygian scale on a 3-6-2-5. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do not know what you're saying. So I'm very interested in it. I'm familiar with the Phrygian, and I'm familiar with the 3-6-2-5. So interested to hear about this.
So a lot of folks, when they see a 3-6-2-5, let's say we're in the key of C, right? You have E minor 7, A7, D minor 7, G7 to C. The E minor 7 often is played as a Dorian scale, right? I mean, I do it, but it can be and sometimes should be played as a Phrygian scale, which is the third scale degree of C, starting on E, all white keys.
So that's diatonic C major, basically.
Right. So exactly. So and you can almost think of it as like a C major 7 over an E sometimes, or you could think about it as a Phrygian sound, an E minor 7 with that natural F and a natural C, right? Because C sharp in the key of C sometimes doesn't sound that great. I mean, it's a way to go out of the changes if you want to use the 3-6, but I think there are definitely instances, especially when you're dealing with like playing a melody that is in the key of C, and you put in like a big F sharp or God forbid a C sharp in there.
Yeah, it can be a little...
It can be clashy.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like it. And I think it's almost, you could think about it, a couple things, sounds, as you said it, I realized I do play that. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
I might think about it a little bit almost like an F major 7 or F major over E.
Interesting.
I've thought about that melodically, certainly.
I could see that.
But also, it's like a little bit of foreshadowing too, since it's diatonically the same as C major, which is where we're going.
Right.
It's almost like foreshadowing, and you might think, oh, it's too early to go there, but you hit on that over the E because we know that we have 2 dominant chords, the A7 and the G7 coming up soon, that there's going to likely be some tension in, and we have some other areas we go to, so it's almost like you're starting more in C major than you would if you use the E Dorian, right?
That's exactly right. So next time you're playing a 3-6-2-5, let's say you're playing in B flat and you play a D minor 7, try not to play, like practice not playing D minor 9 with a natural E, but play an actual D minor 7 chord with basically a B flat major scale, the Phrygian scale starting on the 3rd degree, and use those tones. You're going to find yourself sticking in the key a little more. Like it's going to sound more diatonic.
Yeah. But I think it's a good thing because you're right about, you've got a great place to go with that dominant situation going next.
Exactly.
So it's and we always talking about this. It's like it's all about the progression. It's never what do we play. And I love how you have this as we're navigating chord changes, which is progression. It's not just a static situation.
And think about this too. That's not to say you can never use the Dorian in a three chord 3-6-2-5. But if you set it up diatonically, and then maybe the next time around you hit that natural 9 chord, now you've created some contrast. Like you set your listener up for something they're expecting straight down the middle, and then you've taken out of the key for just a second.
A little harmonic syncopation, could we call that?
Well, I think you just invented a term. But yeah. So anyway, that's number 1, the Phrygian scale on a 3 chord of a 3-6-2-5.
Nice, I like it. Okay, number 2, we've got 1 blues scale, please.
That's right.
Or is it 1 blues scale, please?
It's 1 blues scale, please.
I'll take 1 blues scale to go. Okay, so this is that, there's almost countless, as in potentially any chord progression this could work on. Long, short, ending, beginning, middle of, that we take the blues scale, and this is almost always going to be in the key that we're actually in or that we're going to. That would be your blues scale. We've done many diatribes on don't switch blues scale to every chord you go to on a blues. So, but this would mean that no matter what the complexity of the chord changes, that you would be using the blues scale to kind of center things in that tonic blues area. And this is not only on a blues. In fact, some of its most effective use, I think, is on, bebop or more esoteric changes or a lot of different situations.
Practically anything.
Yeah. This one probably is the most flexible out of all of them, wouldn't you say?
Agreed.
Because like number 1 was really specifically 3-6-2-5-1. This could be over a 3-6-2-5-1. And it's kind of a form of foreshadowing, I think, in a way, especially when you start your phrase with the actual changes or whatever, kind of straight down the middle, and then you switch over to the blues scale of the chord that you haven't gotten to yet.
Right.
Like it's the ending. It's the
of
one.
The tonic. Yeah, if you hit the 2 chord and it's a D minor 7 in the key of C, you're not going to play the D blues scale.
No.
Yeah. But you could play the C blues scale if that's where you're going.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're shifting things. So there's a certain down homeness to it because it has that blues connotation, of course, used correctly, but it also has that a little bit out of harmonic balance because you're not there yet, and it's not over the actual chords you're playing.
Yeah.
But melodically and blues and rhythmically, you're pulling it together.
It's so strong. It kind of trumps everything at a certain point. Yeah.
That's right. Don't ever use that word again.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Number 3 is the dual uses of the diminished scale. So we talk about the half whole diminished scale and the whole half diminished scale. And I see some confusion sometimes when people play these. So the easiest thing to remember, so let's say we're in the key of C. On a C7 flat 9 chord, half whole, right? On a C diminished, whole half. That's it. Those are the 2 primary uses for the diminished scales.
They go together like Kranich and Bach.
Yeah, the half whole goes on dominant, like Kranich and Bach.
Yeah, that's what we just played it on.
I know. The half whole goes on dominant chords, usually dominant flat 9 natural 13s.
Yes.
Right? And the whole half goes on straight up diminished 7 chords.
Right. That's it. And the confusing thing about that is it's called the diminished scale, but only one of them is actually over a diminished chord.
That's right.
Yeah, that always confused me.
But I actually use the other one more.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yep. And they're actually the same. I mean, if like you think about the 3 different ones of each, and then diatonically shifting down, or really going through the diminished cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 3 of them, and they overlap.
But don't be playing the half whole, the C half whole over a C diminished.
Come
chord.
on, man.
Don't be doing that.
Come on. We're gonna start a new segment called "Come On, Man." Oh, somebody did that on the show. Yeah, but we're gonna feature people that do things like that.
Come on.
All right.
So the next one, number 4.
Number 4, dominant 7 sus. That's dominant, not minor. Okay. I don't understand this one.
So if you have D7 sus, what scale goes with that? It's not a Dorian scale.
It is not a Dorian. Not usually. Oh,
If
yeah,
it
'cause I
says-
guess it's minor 11.
If it says
more.
D minor 7 sus 4, maybe.
Is that even the
no,
thing?
you would never
exactly.
see it. But
You're right.
like I'm talking about like Maiden Voyage, right?
Right. Yeah, your default on this should be towards major third. But you're playing off of the kind of duality between the fourth and the third, that leading tone back and forth.
Exactly,
right?
But it's not straight up. It's not a minor.
It's not a minor, no.
Scale at all.
And I mean, probably the only time you'd put the minor would either be passing or maybe when you're using the one blues scale kind of thing within the. Maybe people get confused because of that.
Yeah. But like if it's D7 sus, I straight up think that's Mixolydian. That's dominant scale.
Absolutely.
But you're playing with that, like you said, with that fourth. But nothing sounds better actually to me than like play an F sharp.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, that 4-3 and whether you put it on top.
Totally. Number 5.
I would just say, just real quick about that too, what I realize some people's confusion on that might be that people write, they want that minor sus sound, which is really, I mean, it doesn't matter what you call it, but I would say that's more of the minor 11. Because it has the fourth, or the 11th on there, but that's kind of a little bit of a different sound. They can be played close to each other, but they do have a different sound.
Yeah, I think if
Minor
that's
major.
what you want, you have to somehow signify that it's minor.
Exactly.
You can't just put like D7 sus 4 and expect people to play an F.
They're going to be back in the,
natural.
come on, man.
Come on,
man.
In general. And I'm only saying this on the precedent of the tunes that, Herbie tunes and things like that, more modern stuff that have that sus sound.
Yeah, stuff written in the 60s, more modern.
70s sometimes, buddy. Number 5, half diminished. How does they work?
Yeah, how does they work? Okay, half diminished. This is something that I struggled with, just like I think most people, to make them sound good.
Yep.
And so I think, we're talking about navigating chord changes. So this is definitely one that we don't want to think about in isolation. We're always thinking about the progression. Where does it lie? The most obvious place for this is as a 2 in a 2 to 5 to a minor chord normally.
Yep.
So some of the techniques we talked about earlier, as far as like even like with the Phrygian and stuff that you're thinking about over that 3, 6, 2, 5, kind of where you're going, that could be done with this as well, where you're thinking about maybe a Dorian or even a natural minor of the one that 2 half diminished would be eventually getting to.
Either that, or you could think about the Dorian from,
that would actually be the Phrygian too, over the 2.
Exactly.
That's what made me think of it with the other one, right?
Well, I think what I was thinking on this is there's 2 different scales that most people kind of associate with this. The first one is the more traditional, where you actually think of this as like a B minor B flat minor over a G.
Yeah.
Right? And so you hear some bebop musicians play B flat minor.
Yeah.
That kind of sound.
Yep.
So that would be this scale. Right?
Yeah. That's the
Locrian?
Locrian, exactly. But that is also the that's the Phrygian, isn't it? Of E flat?
No, because it's got that.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So that's the 7th degree from the A flat.
Okay. Right. Yeah, that too.
Because we're in F minor, relative major, A flat.
Yep.
And then the Locrian.
So it's the natural minor of where we're going, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could use the harmonic minor.
Right.
Or you could use the melodic minor sound, what people call the Locrian sharp 2, which is the same scale, but you have a natural 2 instead of that. Right, so the first one is G, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G, and the second one just has this, it's the same thing but with an A natural.
And I like using that, but I don't always like to use it at the bottom. Like that's something that I heard Herbie Hancock do, where you're putting it at the top. That and I think about it as, well, it is the ninth.
Are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like all these different things, we always want to think about, it's not just like when we're navigating, it's like how are we using them, like in what order, on the top, as part of a shape or as part of a scale. Like sometimes when you just play as a scale, you're like, ugh. But then you can choose those notes in a melodic way with a shape that actually works really good.
Yeah. But that second one, that sharp 2, that's based off of melodic minor.
Yep.
Which brings us to our 6th point.
Yes.
Don't ignore the melodic minor.
No, don't hate on the melodic. And we're talking about the ascending melodic, right?
Well, I'm talking about both.
Oh, you're talking about both.
Using both.
Isn't the melodic minor the one that changes coming down?
I'm classical, but
sorry.
in jazz, man. No.
Man, I'm such a classically trained individual, man. You should see the architecture I'm working on. Straight classical.
I'm talking about melodic minor harmony. Building the Lydian dominant sound, that Locrian sharp 2, the altered scale, the major 7 augmented sharp 11 sound. All those things are from melodic minor harmony.
Yep.
And that's straight up and down.
Yep.
And for those that don't know, that's just a major scale, but with like the minor third.
Yeah, ascending melodic minor.
And then down you play.
No, don't do that.
No. But off of that harmony are all those different scales that you can use on a variety of changes. The Lydian dominant from that C melodic minor. That's F Lydian dominant. What else do I have? Oh, that's that Locrian scale. So like A. E flat.
Whoa. Yep, I like that.
All that comes from that one melodic minor. So make sure to like shed on your melodic minor stuff.
Good stuff. All right, number 7. We're at number 7. Our crucial details.
Sharp 5 versus flat 13. Thoughts?
Exactly the same, right?
Totally.
not on a violin, but on a piano. No, very different.
Yeah, I think of them
often confused because they're the same note.
I think of them differently because the sharp 5 to me implies that there's really the 9 is not in play.
Yep.
The flat 13 implies that the 9 is in play sometimes. So the sharp 5 is more of an augmented sound, right?
Exactly. And so that really means that the regular fifth, the perfect fifth is not in play.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And
But the sharp 13, not necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of times for me, I mean, the only time I get into really, I mean, I think there's a certain sound and a function within progression we can talk about. But when I'm writing out chords with, and maybe I have a certain voicing in mind and I'm making a chart arrangement or a tune, if I'm a little bit confused as to which one it is, like I know that the note is there and it's either a sharp 5 or a flat 13.
Right.
I'll play the fifth and see if it sounds like it's still part of what's going on. And if it does, then I know that's a flat 13. And this doesn't always work, but 90% of the time. And then I'll also, the inverse would be play the 13th, the 6th, and see if that sounds like it shouldn't be there or if it's only a passing tone. And then you know it's a raised fifth.
Totally.
Now, there's ways to combine them and stuff, and there's certainly some overlap. But in general, I think that's the easiest way. Just do it by ear like that.
Yeah, totally. And I think for me, the sharp 5 implies somewhat of a whole tone thing. It could definitely speaks to me in that sense. Like a sharp 5 means probably a natural 9, and a flat 13 might mean more of an altered sound.
I have a question for you about those. Which do you think is better?
Oh, easily sharp 5.
Really?
No.
Which is your favorite?
No, I don't have a preference. I'm just here to serve the music.
Yeah,
I'm just here to serve the music.
No, but I mean, it's all about the function and where you're going with it. I mean, and that's, look, the voicing could be exactly the same, but if you talk about the function and then you add in, even if you're not playing that as part of the voicing as a pianist, or if you're just playing through it, in terms of something melodic or whatever, you're going to be able to hear the difference depending on where you're coming from, where you're going.
Totally.
Nice.
Totally.
Good stuff. All right. Well, once again,
we got way in the weeds
we
on that
nailed
one.
it. That's right. Well, it's Tuesday. It's hump day. So, we, is it? Yeah, I guess it is.
Tuesday's not hump day, man.
What is it?
Wednesday is hump day.
Oh,
it's the middle of the week.
man.
It's a hump you got to get over.
The middle of the week is technically like 3.5. There's 7 days. Okay.
The middle of the work week, bro.
Tomorrow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. So we want to remind our beautiful listeners to give us a rating review. Check us out on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube, man. We're getting a lot of love over on YouTube. And if you ever want to see what these wonderful voices look like, warning, it's not going to be as spectacular as you think, but you can go to youtube.com/ I don't know. What is it? Hey, Open Studio? Just search for us. Search, you'll hear it.
Search for you'll hear it on YouTube.
We'll come up.
Yeah.
But we're reminded that we are our charter sponsor is Oxford American.
Yeah.
And for a limited time, You'll Hear It listeners can subscribe to the Oxford American. This is a magazine. It's a literary magazine. Maybe you heard us yesterday and today talking about it, but it's a beautiful, you will be proud to have this on your coffee. Do you have a coffee table at home?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would be proud to take one. Don't take this one. This is mine. This is the Nina Simone. This is what I'm reading currently.
Super hip stuff and a lot of stuff on culture that I think most jazz musicians would be very, very interested in.
Yeah. And like we talk about sometimes inspiration just beyond what we're talking of the nerd stuff as far as the flat 13 versus the sharp 5. This is so important. But like the episodes when we talk about getting inspiration from art and from architecture and from literature, like this is a perfect thing to kind of broaden your scope and to take some things if you want to write a tune or whatever, to read some of these great words, savor it. It's a quarterly magazine, and we have a special for You'll Hear It listeners, $25. You can subscribe for your first year, I believe.
That's right. Just visit oxfordamerican.org/YHI to get your subscription for just $25.
That's right.
And you know what? Have you heard about you'llhearit.com?
Well, yeah, we got a little action over there.
We got a little revamp on
Maybe
the
we should just talk about it tomorrow, but we'll just tell people, go check out you'llhearit.com. You're going to be pleasantly surprised.
You'll hear it.